you've got certain areas on the roof that hold debris and will keep leaves and stuff. Really needs to be cleaned off yearly, because things piled up in certain areas, vulnerable areas like that, can make the water not flow like it's supposed to, and it will cause problems.
You're listening to the Good for Business podcast, where we feature interviews, tips, and tricks from owners, operators, and innovators throughout Mississippi and around the world. And now, your host, Colin Krieger. Hey, welcome to the show this week. My guest is my good buddy Jason Wheeler from Wheeler Roofing in Columbus, Mississippi. We've known each other through 10 years of me being in real estate, and then our kids play various sports together at the Mighty Heritage Academy. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Well, tell me a little bit about your origin story, because I get very confused at all the different roofing families in town, and the Grahams and the Doves and everybody and the splits and like that. So maybe start from the beginning of little bitty baby Jason Wheeler hammering in roofs.
Well, it started back in 1946. My great-grandfather started it. Well, actually, him and one of his sons started it in 46. And then my grandfather joined and worked with them later on. So it's just been in their fourth generation.
So is your specific store fourth generation? I know some of the roofing families are related to each other, right?
Right. Yeah, my two brothers have a business in Tupelo. They opened an office up there. My older brother did in 1991. And then my other brother got out of school and joined him after that. So they've been there all that time. But yeah, we all live under the family business since 1946.
There you go. When was the first time you started having a job or work? Did you only work for the roofing company? You have other jobs, or?
Not many. Mostly it was roofing when I wasn't in school and whatnot. I did a lot of, as a kid, cleaning gutters and things like that, making extra money, cutting grass, but mostly it was had another job or two here and there, but it was mostly my off time. I was at work, even at a young age.
Who were your bosses when you were young? Was it your dad and his brother?
No, they dumped me out with a group of guys. We had some old school guys work for us for a long time, but grew up around them, and they showed me the ropes, and then we just worked together a lot. And when I went to school at State for a while, and then and left and went to work. It's been about 30 years ago.
Yeah,
Since I started full time after school.
It's hard for a lot of hardworking folks to sit in school. Like it drove me crazy sitting still. And
I'm telling you, everybody did. All my folks did. My two brothers did. My dad did. I was over at State, and I didn't really want to stay there. I was wanting to work. So my mom finally realized, hey, seems like you're kind of wasting our money here. Get back to work with your dad for a while, and you'll change your mind. And I said, nah, probably not. And so never went back to school. Just been working ever since.
There you go. And when did you transition between putting roofs on and being in charge?
I was about mid-20s, I guess. I was probably 24, 25 when maybe a little younger, actually running the crews. And then it processed and progressed into having them done, and then making sure they're getting done, and then into selling and all that good stuff too. So as the other folks retired off and whatnot, I just kept having to take over their responsibilities too. So now I just have to do it all except physically put them on. That's right.
Yeah, it's not too bad. So were there any, family pressures you can talk about? Going to a family business is always a little tough.
No, I tell you, it's been pretty smooth. I enjoyed working with my dad. I got to work with him for 30 years before he retired, and so it was good. It just wasn't enough room for all of us here, so the two brothers didn't get to see Dad like I did as often. But it's worked out good for everybody. So we got a tight knit family, gets along really well.
Is there anything big that has changed in roofing in that 30 years?
Well, yeah, back when the commercial end of it was mostly hot tar roofing, and then it went on into the different things, the modifieds, and then the single plies, and things like that. If the material and stuff has changed and the practices have changed a little bit, but you just got to go with it when it changes and.
Like that white roll-out roof.
Right now we're mostly putting the white TPO thermoplastic roof systems on.
Flat roof stuff.
Right,
Those are
flat
some
roof
people's
stuff.
nightmares on residential houses.
Right, right, yeah. So a lot of residential and good bit of commercial as well.
And do y'all do metal roofs at all? I know I've asked you this before.
No, I do not. I've stayed away from installing metal roofs. I've just seen problems with them that I don't care to have problems. I like to stick with what I know going to work.
Yeah, in the residential space with them, what we run into as realtors, other than like leaks or if they're screwed in wrong, is mainly the color fading in different spots. So somebody has a cool red roof that's supposed to last forever, and 8 or 9 years later it's pink in one spot and red in another, and
it's all just, and they get the moss and things and everything in the air gets on it and changes it, can discolor it. Sometimes they'll do it, sometimes they won't. You never know. But usually they hold up pretty well and look good for quite a while. Then you can have them cleaned as well if you like to. But
yeah, well, that's sort of like the trailers, mobile homes where you paint the roof.
Right. Hold it off.
From my experience, it doesn't last you a whole lot.
Right. Good Band-Aid anyway.
It's a good thing there. The biggest thing you and I have had discussions about is what's your opinion, or, obviously it's a huge deal in Mississippi, is the insurance changes over the last probably 5 to 6 years.
Yeah, there's been a lot of changes. They've really, they've gotten pretty tight on things with all the storms that go on, and if you've got damage, they'll take care of it. And sometimes they don't think there's enough there, but it's changed a lot.
Because, in case people don't know, which they probably know if they have an insurance company, a lot of the insurance companies, some of them aren't insuring houses unless you can prove the roof is
right.
less than 10 years old, and most people don't keep the receipt from the day they bought the roof when they sell their house, and most houses sell every 5 or 6 years.
Exactly. So that is a thing that's new, kind of. You hear something new every day, seems like, though. But yeah, I've had them go out and tell people, your roof appears to be older than 10 years old. So, in order for us to insure you, you're going to need to put a roof on it. And that makes it tough for some people. It used to not be that way, but. Things have changed in the insurance business for sure.
Yeah, well, just like with car wrecks, like if somebody hits you, they used to just automatically offer you $5,000 just to get rid of you. And I know with roofs, at least the prevailing theory was for most of my life was that they were going to, if the roof had any damage or looked like it was going to leak, they were leaning towards replacing it because the insurance company was in it with you as a homeowner.
Right.
Like if it leaked and created mold or something, they're going to pay that claim anyway. Right. Or if you don't fix it, and it's gone completely the other way.
Right.
Like I've been writing some contracts now where I require the buyer to get insurance quotes in the first 10 days because we've had deals that show up and they can get insurance, but it might not be what they want to pay.
Right. Yeah, that's right. So it can be difficult sometimes.
And so how long's like right now you pretty much only sell, is it 30, 35-year shingles? Is that correct?
It's what they call a limited lifetime warranty. We use GAF products, been using them for a long time, and we find them to be the best, and it's what they call a lifetime warranty shingle. Certain stipulations, you'd have to do a lot of reading on it to see.
They got to be installed correctly.
Oh yeah, and you got to use certain components that go with the roof, and the starters and the ridge vent and some this and that, and you got to use certain items for the warranty to be in effect. To use at least 3 of their special items on each job.
Yeah, and the roof itself, they're going to last, but the problem isn't usually the roof correctly. It's usually either the installation or you got a tree.
Or a storm or a tree. Or hail damage, wind damage. Stuff like that seems to happen around here every 8 or 10 years. Whether it be hailstorm or straight line winds. I
had several come in that May storm last year where it hit. I told everybody, I said, I can draw a picture of where the line of damage was because it hit 4 of my houses at the same time. So.
Right.
What's the biggest damage thing you've seen here? Would it have been the tornado that came or the straight line winds?
Well, we tackled, we had a big, back in 1992, had a really big hailstorm. We roofed most of the W, and it just everything was getting roofs. It was a huge. And then in 2001, we had that straight line winds. It was a big deal. just not fun to deal with, but you just got to do.
What are the roofs at the W? Are they half flat roofs and half regular? Are they old
Mostly
school shingles?
Mostly shingle roofs. Yeah, they're just way up in the air, tall, and then there were some flat roofs in there as well. But that's been a long time ago. I was just graduating high school that year, and I went to work because it got busy.
When did that happen? Was that April, May type thing? I've heard the legend of it, and you can still see the remnants of it on South Side by the tracks.
Right. I can't remember what time of the year it was.
Oh, I was thinking a straight line windstorm was. I've seen, like I said, you can still see that.
Yeah, and there was after that 92. I know we were messing around talking about it, and it was one point we had like 200 jobs on the list. And I mean, it took 2-3 years to get halfway back to normal, and keeping up, getting all these roofs done. But we managed.
Do you like drive around after a hailstorm and look, or you kind of wait for calls? I see those guys who do it. We don't. Luckily, we're in a small enough area. We don't see a lot of those.
Well,
guys.
no, that's right. I just kind of put my head down and shake my head and say, "Oh, this is not going to be any fun," because it can be a hassle trying to take care of everybody.
Do you ever have to assist people in arguing with insurance companies?
I do what I can. I mean, write letters. Call, talk to them about it. I can't do it. Hard to twist their arm.
You're not like I know they have arbitrators in other markets. Like
right.
You can hire an independent guy to fight for you, but
right. No, it's usually cut off before that would be needed. It's hard to twist their arm once they make a decision.
Yeah, they're pretty bad. And I've had car wrecks where I've had to sue my own insurance company, which is not good for anybody. But again, like if they're not going to do what they say, and I believe the state insurance commissioner now is working on some other states have policies where the roof's separate. So like you have a $2,000 deductible for everything and a $5,000 deductible for the roof.
Right. And these deductibles are weird too. You find some of them that, I've had some of that's like, wow, $5,000-$6,000, and I think they do what some policies have to pay like 1% of the value of the home, different things like that. But all of them seem to be fairly different than than the next one.
Fortunately, I've had insurance, but unfortunately, like I said, I had to use it on 4 houses that you did for that storm last year. And
right.
It stinks because then all your policies go up, and I'm like, man, I could have just put this money on the side myself. And I wish that there was a just catastrophic one, like I can have a $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 deductible. I'm like, if the house burns down, but even when I do that, my rate doesn't go down. Like so, in a rental house, it'll be $1,500. And I say, all right, just make it the highest deductible possible. And they're like, all right, it's $1,300. I'm like,
well, never mind. Let's go back to where we started.
So it doesn't. I guess that's how they make their money.
Part of it, I guess so.
Well, yeah, I don't know, because like I said, they beat me up pretty bad on that house had on 10th Street North, the duplex,
Oh, did it?
Until you came along. But I'm like, the tree fell down. Like, tree must have been dead. I'm like, it's a beautiful tree that fell on that house.
Either way, it's down and it hit it, and, it shouldn't matter.
Yeah, there's certain parts where they're not allowed to argue. Like my tree friends have told me, like, they can't complain about what it costs to haul off the tree. Like the insurance just has to pay what it is.
Yeah. It's pretty costly.
I don't like trees.
No,
I used to just love trees and be like, it's beautiful, it's wonderful.
Like, there's no worse money to spend than cutting a tree down because you get nothing. It's just gone. And
it doesn't look any better.
It doesn't look any different.
That was the weirdest part from that storm where I had my guest house, my brother's house.
Right.
That duplex you did. My other one down the block, a tree fell on the air condition. And the 2 trees in the front yard, they'd been there the week before and cleaned them up, so nothing fell off of them. And I was like,
there's timing.
Yeah, I should have waited 1 more week.
That's right.
If it hadn't hit the air conditioner, I would have been in trouble. So.
Right.
Are trees a menace for y'all, or just?
Not. No, it is to the customers when they, if they don't keep them limbed up. We pulled many limbs out of the roof and had to patch the hole and put new plywood in, the shingles and all that. But it happens a lot, actually. Trees just not something you want to deal with or pay to have cut and trimmed. Nobody ever wants to. And I don't blame them but things can happen.
How long does it take to develop the skill set of looking at a roof from the ground and going, that's bad, and that's, like we realtors see it a lot. Like I'll look at one I call it the sand.
Right.
It's a little washed
granules,
out.
yeah.
Granules are a little washed out, And then I'll have you come out and you're like, oh, it looks fine. And there's other times where I'm like, this roof looks great. And then you're like, what are you, crazy?
Well, it's just being around them forever. I mean, you can kind of tell by looking roughly the age of one and the condition, and how some hold up longer than others, and you just see it all different ways. But you can, a lot of this hail damage, you'll see the granules lined up and just packed up in the gutters full, or coming out the downspouts. It's a good way to know that's probably the case.
Yeah.
But that's and you can tell, and they'll also look for any soft metals, like the little air vents on the roof, like a stove vent with metal cap. They'll look for those, see if they've got dents in them and have been hit. Air conditioning, they'll see if they've got, and gutters. They look at all kind of ways to look for the hail damage.
Yeah, and I guess a lot of the tracking stuff I've looked up online that you can see, like when the hailstorm's supposed to.
Oh, sure.
They narrow it down not to the house, but you can tell on your neighborhood.
And that's just what these people are doing that come from out of town. When these big storms hit, they'll come from Timbuktu, and they just watch the computer, and when a storm hits, they just hit the road and come out and start knocking on doors. And unfortunately, enough people will let them do it. They'll talk them into it. But
yeah, I'd say 75% of them, people are losing out, it seems to me.
That's right. They let them do it because they make it sound good. But, when you don't keep it local, something happens. They're probably not coming back from Texas or...
Well, I've seen multiple people where they're like, this company doesn't exist anymore.
Right, yeah. We had them one year. They moved into, forget what, it was another storm one year, 8 or 10 years ago. I can't remember which one, but there was even a company or two, one of them in particular, I forget the name of them, came in and they were telling people, oh, we're moving here, we're setting up shop for good, let us take care of you. And they rented a little office space that they didn't use, to put a sign up in front of it. And, 4, 5, 6 months later, when everything died down and was caught up, they were gone. And,
yeah, that's bad. We've had that with a couple foundation repair companies, like the Ramjack franchise out of Tupelo. There's a bunch of people in Starkville that have a lifetime warranty on their foundation work, and ain't not worth the paper it's written on, because Ramjack seems like this huge company, but it's just like a Papa John's. It's just a franchise.
Yeah, and if they're gone, they're gone.
And they're gone. Whoever buys it's not dumb enough to keep the LLC. They're going to be like, no, that was the last guy.
That's right. That's right.
Plus, that's part of the value of what y'all do. Like, you're sponsoring sports teams and doing stuff in the community.
Trying to do what we can.
I know a bunch of people saw it on Facebook, but you went above and beyond at Lee Park. We're trying to do a community-city partnership with that, and I called him for Jason for a price on a roof. Next thing I know, he was hammering it in there. So that's been my biggest misstep trying to help with the Lee Park thing is I forget the city has liability and rules and all this. I'm like, we'll just fix it. And we're over there wrenching and screwing stuff in, and like the city's like, we appreciate it, really do, but you need to get a permit. One of us needs to be here because if somebody cuts their arm off,
they don't want to be liable. That's
yeah,
right.
And of
That's
course,
right.
I think
Can't
about,
blame them.
Normally I think about that all the time with real estate. Our whole deal is liability. Like right now, I tell people all the time, we'll have a deal going, and I got to do a roof right before closing.
Right.
And as soon as the bank says we're good to go, well, right now we're 1 day away from that. Yeah. You're chomping at the bit on the roof. The people who live in the house want a roof. The sellers want a roof. But you don't want to tell somebody like we're going to spend $9,000 and then something falls apart at the last minute.
Oh, no.
And then, everybody be calling like, hey, Colin, where's it?
Right. Yeah, you definitely don't want any kind of hiccups like that.
Yeah, and that's tough. And I think about that all the time, like we deal with repairs on houses or roofs. And that used to be the thinking, I think, on why insurance companies would fix a roof or replace a roof is because if they denied 100 people and one of them had black mold in the house 6 months later, not only they have to pay that claim, but they're going to get sued for negligence on their own.
Exactly.
And like I said, I've just been shocked at some of the stuff I've seen on roofs. And we had one in Sherwood Forest about 6 months ago where there was hail damage, but it was an older roof.
Right.
Like, we're not doing anything.
Yeah. Well, I've seen them come in too and say, well, not only, you've got hail damage, but the problem is the roof is too old, and now not only we're not going to pay you to fix it, but you're going to have to put a roof on to keep coverage.
Yeah, and I'm hearing this a lot in bigger markets, Atlanta and New Orleans and stuff, where they're making them do, like you said, if roof's 10 years old, they're making them do it to do a policy at all.
Some of them are. That's right. It is. When you go to buy a house, that's usually the first thing they go talk about is the roof.
Now, if a roof's kept clean and stuff, you still think they're going to make it 20, 25 years, or is that
It
still
depends.
pushing?
Yeah, I mean, you see it vary. You'll see some go, man, that thing's been on here 30 years. It held up really, really good. And it just depends on these storms and what gets on it over those 20, 30 years. If it sustains any damage of any kind or not. Sometimes the storms dodge some of these houses and the roofs keep on lasting pretty good. But eventually something's gonna come in there and do something.
Yeah, because if you're in the middle of a field with no weather and stuff, yeah, it might last 25,
Correct.
30 years. And
yeah,
of course, we're from a generation a few years younger than you, and we still see it in the central city north side where people have old 3-tab shingle roofs and they just keep fixing them.
right. Oh, they'll just patch them.
Little A-frame houses, and so what? Whatever. They're pretty simple, but and then you see a house like mine where it's somewhat of a complicated roof, and you're like, hey, you've got the clock's ticking, so I'm just going up there every 2 months to make sure I don't have leaks.
Sure. And it's like I say, you can put them off. A lot of people just wait until it just starts leaking in the house before they'll replace one. But most usually try to hit it before it gets to that point.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's going to call, like in my house, I have a ton of insulation, I have decking in the attic. I'm not going to know if there's a leak. If I don't go up there, there's no.
Right.
I'll only know when the whole ceiling falls in.
Right. Or it leaks heavy enough that it's going to stain the ceiling. And
I imagine this industry is probably the same as the scumbag. I call it the scumbag roofer industry, but with the traveling roof salesmen, insurance guys, the soft washing of roofs. I don't think those guys are the same percentage as scamming, but I do think probably 2/3 of them are doing things wrong. I have seen one of my neighbors have a pressure washer on, some dude
with pressure to it,
with regular pressure washing like you do a deck, and I stopped him. But and 2 days later, when the roof dried off, you could just see this mark, just like you can in a driveway. And I'm like, y'all are.
Yeah.
And the guy told him he knew what he was doing, and I'm gonna soft wash this.
And I haven't been around a lot of it, and actually seen it done. But yeah, it's definitely got to have no pressure to it. It's a soft wash and chemical takes care of it, and it cleans it up. And I've seen people clean a roof and 3 years later it looked just like it did before, and seen some that last a little longer. But the few I've noticed, it doesn't seem to stay that way just too often.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, on my 10th Street duplex, the adjuster that came out, he's like, I know you just had this thing soft washed. And he told me, he's like, we do a brittle test, and he goes, the only reason you passed is your brittle test on the shingles. He goes, I was like, how long does that stuff last? I've heard 18 months, I've heard 2 years. And he goes, our experience was 3 to 6 months. He's like, it's great. He goes, if you have a professional person that does it, there's nothing wrong with it. Your roof will look newer. Sure. It'll be a little more pliable, but he goes, it's going to evaporate after a certain amount of time.
Sure.
And so I have a good friend who does it, and I'll let him do a couple of houses, and I'm like, wow, that looks better, because it's for selling a house that it makes the roof look newer.
Oh, sure.
Especially if you have a home inspector who doesn't go on the roof. In case you don't know, in real estate, and Jason knows this, about half of all roofs. You could have a roof put on the week before, and there's some of the home inspectors are going to be like, there's no flashing on the chimney, there's no this, the cricket's done wrong, and then every roofer in town will come and be like, this is how you do roofs.
They just gotta try to point out everything they think, but they're not roofers either. So.
Yeah, they have 2 pages. I just told this to one of our home inspectors in town. I said, y'all have 2 pages of stuff saying you're not a professional, and this. It's the most disclaimers.
Please contact a professional.
Yeah, please contact a professional. And they're like, yeah, I don't want to be called out for that too. And a roof's the most expensive thing. I don't know. There's some air conditioners that are pretty expensive. But
exactly.
Yeah, if you got a big house.
A lot of times they don't want to call hail damage. Just they don't want that to come back on them. So they'll put worn, as you've seen, roofing worn, but they won't say worn out, needs replacing, or they don't want to put all that on.
Yeah.
They don't want to do that.
Well, I have a house, my mom's house right down the road from mine, that I guess now the roof's 9 years old on it, and I got a house in East Columbus on Woolbright Street we think, I knew the guy that owned it before. I think that the 3-tab shingle, I think the roof's 35, 40 years old. And it looks atrocious, but it isn't leaking, and it's not going to be an expensive roof, you know.
Right.
And I have, when you have rental properties, you have a different kind of insurance, and they're not nearly as picky. But they also know you're less likely to file a claim. And then, they're not going to pay on that roof.
Right.
Like, they're not going to, they're like, I'm positive it's 20 years old. But I went, look, guy was moving out. We went in the attic the other day. I'm like, it's not leaking. Like, I was like, I'm going to call Jason and just do it for no reason
Right.
on a little house. But that's part of it. What are some things people can look for to take better care of their roof?
Biggest thing is stay off of it all you can, and keep it clean. Keep gutters clean. If you've got certain areas on the roof that hold debris and will keep leaves and stuff, really needs to be cleaned off yearly, because things piled up in certain areas, vulnerable areas like that, can make the water not flow like it's supposed to, and it will cause problems. Then you're having leaks and your ceiling's messed up and all that. But just cleaning it and staying off of it any more than you have to be on it.
Yeah, quit playing on it, putting your satellite dish up,
Right.
adjusting your satellite dish.
I wish they wouldn't put any of those dishes on the roof, but a lot of cases they claim that that's the only way they could.
They're just, a lot of times they're not thinking. Like on my house downtown, they did it, and then like one day I got another satellite dish, and like we went all the way to the back of my brother's house in the back, and the angle was further away, and it was fine. I'm like, we could have put it. I didn't want to put it on my future $25,000 roof. Let's put it on the little roof.
I mean, you're putting no less than 4 screws through the roof. Anything that comes through the roof is a potential problem at some point.
Yeah. Whether
it be screws through the roof, vents, chimneys, skylights, all that stuff is, that's where stuff's going to happen when it does. But yeah, I wish they would put them. Sometimes you'll see them mount them to the fascia on the side of the house, or like in my house, it's on a pole out in the yard.
Yeah.
And so it's just something we have to deal with. We have to take it up to get the roof off and put a new one on, and then you can put it back in the same holes. And most times it still doesn't have the signal. You still have to call their supplier to come out and tweak it back, get it working again.
Yeah.
So no fun for anybody. But
is there anything you can speak of under the house, in the attic, as far as ventilation and stuff that damages shingles? I've heard about that, but I don't know if I understand the physics behind it.
Well, these days we're using, of course they call it ridge vent, and it lets it go on all the horizontal ridges from end to end, creating about a 4-inch gap that lets that airflow out really well, better than the old school ways with the vents, the power vents or the static vents, and they don't have those to worry about ever leaking or having a problem. So the ridge vent's the way to go, and just try to let it breathe all you can. You have seen, you'll come across jobs where there was not any ventilation hardly at all, and yes, over the last 50 years, the decking is just like brittle and crackly. I mean, it dries it out without letting it breathe up in there. Got to let all that air out.
Yeah, they have to
all you can.
The other part I see people forget is that they have to have a supply for the air. There's got to be some soffit vents or gable vents or something to let the air in there.
Well, that's right. They definitely, most all, and they definitely do. Some don't. You're getting a decent job with just the ridge vent, but yeah, at the soffit, if you got vents all the way around at the soffit, that creates that
and
the flow.
I mean, you can put too many. There's a house down the road for me that it's a normal 1,800 square foot square A-frame roof. They have 7 whirlybirds on top of it, and the big ones too, not the little ones.
The ones that spin still.
And I sent pictures of it to my home inspector buddy, and I'm like, get this. I was like, there's no soffits or gables either. Like they covered them up when they redid the woods. I'm like,
right.
I was like, that could literally, it could collapse from pressure. I was like, I don't know where it's getting air from. And I'm like, I don't think it's accomplishing what they think.
And they don't look good either. The ridge vent looks really sharp.
Yeah. No, I don't like, I have one big vent on the top. It's not mechanical on the top of my roof, but I don't have any little ones.
Right.
I don't think I don't know if I have any left now. The future is here.
That's right. But ready for some rain. It's been dry.
Does that just make it too hot for y'all, or how does that affect
No,
business?
the phone doesn't ring quite as often.
It's not leaking. There you go.
Can you imagine? It's not leaking. They're not calling.
I'm always fascinated by that, but like what gets business? Because like I grew up in a restaurant business, and so like rainy Friday night government payday doesn't help Zachary's. But Papa John's and Domino's get railed.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right,
So like we would just cheer for that, or football games and stuff. So I'm always kind of fascinated on what attracts business for you.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and it I've got a lot of good customers, long-time customers. So there's usually something going on. But definitely the rain, you've got to have it, because people will. It's easy to forget about a roof leak until it leaks again. But little rain. Don't want much. Don't need any storms. Just our share of rain would be
I think
fine.
it's going to be a little, I don't know about wild this weekend, but I saw something Saturday.
And maybe in the
the
next week, maybe some chances too. But
you don't
I know
sit,
a lot of people
you don't sit there getting excited when hail's coming.
Oh no. People like to think that they think, oh man, that storm, that's going to be great. No, it's really not. It doesn't change anything except a lot more hard work and trying to keep folks.
Well, and more
taken
people in
care
a
of.
hurry too.
And everybody's in a hurry. So no, I definitely do not like it when the bad storm hits.
Yeah, because it's not 1 week of work for you. That's the next 3-4 months are tied up.
And depending on how big, it could be a year or two before you get back to a normal pace. But so we just need our share of rain, and it keeps me busy as I can be.
Well, you just did. I guess it's been like 6 months now. You did my little White House on military next to that, next to the church.
Oh yeah.
And all your guys still talk about it when I see them because it was at 6 or 7 layers.
Oh, it was a bunch. Yeah, I couldn't. You don't find that very often.
It was right. They were like
People
it
just
was,
kept on putting the roofs on.
Yeah. So
I think
yeah,
they said it was about 6 layers. Yeah, they were proud of us on that one.
no, and that was and a lot of people don't know if that house hadn't been built 100 years ago, you put more than three layers of roofing on a new modern house. The A-frame's going to start moving from all the weight.
Right, and it's rare now to lay over to re-roof one on top. I try not to. Hadn't done it in. I bet it's been 15, 20
Was
years.
the theory that people were doing it weren't just being lazy? They just think, well, there's another layer of protection.
Well, they wanted to save some money, and the money they were saving is not enough. But if they turn around, they keep the home long enough. The next time they roof it, they got to pay more to tear 2 roofs off. So it's really, and then you can't get in there if you don't tear everything off. You can't see your decking. You don't know if you need to replace some or not. You get under your flashings around your vents and things you can't do when you just throw another roof over the top. Plus you're adding the weight to it, and it's not a good idea. So we hadn't done that in a long time. You'll find some that you go do a job and it's got 2 layers on it, and the homeowner thought that the previous time when it was roofed, they thought it was all torn off. And she said, well, we had it paid to tear off. I said, well, they got over on you pretty good. They didn't even take the time to tell you.
Yeah, I mean, unless you have 6 layers. For most roofs, it's not that much money. Y'all are there. Y'all are jamming it up with shovels and stuff like that. So.
Yeah. No, it's just not a good idea. You always want to tear it off, start fresh. But you see a lot of different stuff.
I'm always impressed by your guys. I don't know if you ever have to go up there, but when I have leaks. And I am decent at looking at the roof and going like that and trying to figure out where the water's come from.
Sure.
They'll go up there in 2 seconds and they're like, there it is. And I'm like, where? And it's like they're 20 feet away, and there's like
a little nail head
sticking up. I'm like, how do you do that? And the same thing. They're like, I'm on roofs all day long.
They look at them all the time. So, fortunately, got some guys that've been with me a long time that do good.
How many crews do you have now?
It just depends on what day. 2 or 3. Usually 2 or 3 going on.
You kind of got a flat roof crew.
Right, a couple of residential crews, flat roof crew, and then my couple of main guys have been with me a long time that help make sure everything gets done and delivered and pick up materials and dump trailers and all that sort of stuff. And make sure everybody's doing like they should while I'm running, trying to keep them busy.
How many? What's like an amount of shingles you keep in your warehouse at any given time?
Oh, I don't know. A good bit. I've got a pretty good bit of space, so they go through them. We go through them pretty quick, so I have to stock up pretty good. I'd say 400 or 500 squares at a time sitting in there.
You could do 15, 20 houses.
Ready to go. Right. Yeah, we can load them up and head out. And
what's the most popular color that I keep picking?
Weathered wood.
Weathered wood.
Or the charcoal, either one.
What percentage of the market is weathered wood?
Oh, big. It's the most popular. And then the charcoal, like we put on the White House. Let's see, we did charcoal on the other one too, didn't we?
Yeah.
Both of those look really good, and they go with anything. But that weathered wood is usually the most popular. Sure is.
Yeah, people still putting green and purple roofs on.
Every now and then, I can still get one green color. Had somebody do a red a couple of years ago. Even had somebody put a blue roof on over in Alabama. last year, and they loved it, and I thought it was the ugliest thing. I mean, it was
I think
blue.
there's a place for that old green, single story ranch, inner city. I remember growing up seeing them in New Orleans,
Right, and I put a green architectural roof on the house there by Bank First on the corner there on College Street, not too awfully long ago. So every now and again, you get anytime somebody's got green, they want to keep it. They want it to be green again.
Yeah.
But it doesn't happen very often.
I don't know. I'll try to argue with my wife that I need to put some interesting colors on some of the rental houses,
Switch it up a little bit.
Yeah, my biggest problem, I'm good friends with Brad Elliott, who's Magnolia Tree Service, and Jim Borland, who does them. And I've got, the house across the street from my backyard has got 2 just monstrous oak trees, like 100-foot tall, just crazy. And I'm like, every year, I'm like, I try to stay on it and clean them up, and I just keep. When I bought the house, it had a new roof 5 years ago, and I'm like, this thing's not it's just not gonna make it.
I got trees I need to cut now at certain places, and then it's just hard to want to spend the money to do it because it's expensive. A really big tree, I mean,
Thousands of
you
dollars.
if you got properties and things, and you go look at all the trees you probably should cut or want to cut.
I factor it in when I buy rentals, and I tell people, I'm like, hey, there's no joke. Like, I have one in East Columbus that's got a big dead tree in the backyard, and I know it's going to be $1,800. And again, you don't accomplish anything.
That's right.
Like, nobody's going to go, oh, wow.
It's just not something you feel good about spending money on, I tell you.
Yeah, you might, and most of the time you'll catch grief. Like, we had to cut down a suffering magnolia tree in front of that White House, and only thing I got was grief.
Yeah.
Like, why'd you cut that tree down? I'm like, it's destroying the foundation.
Right.
It's eating into the house.
Gonna cost me more money down the road. It's got.
And then when it came down, it looks beautiful. But nobody was like, good job cutting down the tree.
No, they don't like cutting trees.
Well, I know I'm in trouble with my relatives back in Louisiana because they say you're going to purgatory if you cut down a magnolia tree. Like, they don't care if it's growing through your living room.
That's right. I get it.
What's changed the most? Was COVID the biggest impact, like, on pricing for roofs, or is it still?
I tell you, it did not affect us too bad. As far as roofing materials and all, it didn't. It wasn't bad, and got a little slow on certain colors and items that were backed up getting things not as quick as we normally would. But it really we were fortunate. It didn't affect us much at all. I know it did a lot of people, and it's terrible. That was a bad time, but
Yeah.
It didn't affect us too bad. But nowadays I can get something pretty much next day. If I pick up the phone and call, my distributor will have it to me next day.
Yeah.
So I can. That makes it easy. But back then, I might have had to wait a few days, 3, 4, 5, or a week, maybe even a week sometimes. But during COVID, but.
Yeah, and I guess the decking was pretty expensive. I remember you had a couple pallets. Of plywood or whatever, OSB in your warehouse when I went over there during COVID. And I was like, "Is this your retirement account?"
Yeah, I bought a whole bunch at one time at the right time because it went from like $11 to low 50s in a hurry, and that was rough on the customers. I mean, it all comes back to them. Unfortunately. It costs them a lot to redeck. You go to a house and needs 6 or 8 or 10 pieces of plywood replaced.
Yeah.
It can add up. But
yeah, you were Johnny on the spot with that. The only person that hit it better, Kenny Fry, builds stuff up. Kenny had almost all of his supplies to build 20 houses when COVID hit.
I know
he
Kenny
had tile and counters and all this stuff already ready, and he just sat there for a year and a half just killing it. Like, he was so far ahead of the game on it.
I've known Kenny a long time. He's a good guy. Yeah, that was pretty smart.
Yeah. So, and he's hurting a little, not hurting too bad, but the interest rate's hurting how quick those houses are moving up there.
Yeah. So. Be sure nice if those would go down. That'd help everybody. You too.
Yeah, I have a ton of people who are just waiting for the interest rate to start with a 5, just so it'd be something perceivable. And I think if we didn't have as much chaos in the world in general, that we'd also be a little better. But
sure.
That's what I like about Columbus. Like, we're kind of steady. Real estate was up last year. It's up a lot last year. It's up a little this year, but like. Took us 10 years to get a Starbucks, so it takes a while for bad things to happen. It takes us a while for good things to happen. So.
Yeah, exactly. That is a fact.
So, tell the listeners a little about your family. So,
I've got a 21-year-old daughter, senior at Alabama, from my first marriage, and then my wife and I now have Ninth grader, 15, just about to get her permit. And so that's going to be fun.
Stay off the roads of the military. Huh?
Correct. I'll let everybody know when she's out to stay out of the way. But she's enjoying that and learning, looking forward to that. So we got to train her up good for the next year.
You got either one of them swinging hammers, or they're going to go get grown-up jobs?
No, they don't have any part of it. They're going to get grown-up jobs, I guess.
I've never had one. You know, so.
Me either. So, but I told my oldest daughter, I said, if something ever, it's something that she could come back and do if she ever needed to or wanted to. Lo and behold, I'd love her to live somewhere, wherever she wants to go have fun. But it is something these days that she could do. And learn to run the business with technology and certain things, helping that matters. So she's got that option, and I've got my brother opened up in '91 up there, but he's got 2 sons, but he's kept them away from it completely. He didn't want them to do. My father even told us 3, don't go to school, do something different. You don't want a roof like the rest of us have forever, and we all 3.
Yeah, it's funny from a distance, like half the town would be like, I'd love to have that, business. And then the people doing it are like, you have no idea that stress. And you probably like me for my kids, like all I want to do, I'm like, I don't want to purposefully limit where you go to college. I want you to have a great time while you're there. And, if you I'd love for you to live here, but I understand why you can't, you know what I mean?
Right, just don't go too far.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I've told my kid, we didn't understand coming up from Katrina. And we had 3 kids in 5 years, like a lot of people do. And, nobody watched my daughter until my oldest daughter, like nobody, until she was 2 years old.
Right.
Like, we didn't have a single, grandparents came, but they weren't here for months.
Exactly.
And so now I tell people, my daughter, I'm like, you don't realize how important that free babysitter is.
Oh, man. Oh, yeah. And they can get taken care of themselves and make things a lot easier, for sure.
Yeah, no, when we had, the best part for us was a couple years after Katrina, my brother moved up here and he lives in that house behind our house. And so we had Uncle Eric was a free babysitter.
There you go.
Who pretty much couldn't say no. And man, my wife and I would literally go sit in the movie and take a nap. The kid, when he moved up, the girls were like 9, 7, and 5.
Right.
We're just going to be.
And he probably had fun with it.
Yeah, he's great, incredible uncle. So.
That's great.
No, he's not. Our little screen just went off, but that's the Eric Krieger and Colin Krieger.
Right. He
goes around all local, but most of the times you see a post of the restaurant on my thing. That's him going.
Right.
He's more famous than me at the restaurants.
I got you.
It doesn't hurt. So.
I got you.
If the people want to get a roof or get their roof checked for a leak or anything, who do they call? Do I quit giving them your cell phone number? Tell them to call the office? That's how you know it's for me.
That's right.
Why are they calling my cell phone at 9:30 at night?
Well, that's right. That's right. But preferably the office there at 328-3625 would be. Call us anytime for
how
whatever
long? How long do you think y'all have had that phone number there?
Oh, long time.
My brother on his cell phone has our phone number growing up at our house in New Orleans. We transferred to cell phone, so it's been my dad's name since 1968. So once every 2 or 3 years he'll get a call and he goes, Bill Krieger there? And I'm like, no, he passed away 20 years ago.
Right.
But he's got the same number, so I'm like, if everything happens to him, I'm gonna need to keep it too.
Well, I took my parents' number. The house, the number I grew up with, is my cell number, and it has been since I was 15. And of course, we've had that number since I was born, about the time I was born, and so we've had the same number. And you can imagine the contacts, the people that's got my number from so long, from the last 30 years. So it's a bunch. But
that's why I work so hard to get 329 sold, is because anybody older than me, I could be like, hey, it's 329 sold. Anybody younger to me doesn't know what that means.
Right.
Like that, you give a number.
Yeah, and you do that. I mean, it's nice, and when I'm dealing with somebody else, it's nice to have their cell number. So people just, it makes people happier to call your cell phone a lot of times. It's quicker than calling in the office, but we still, then my phone rings a lot, and luckily the office does too, so they split.
Well, yeah, and it's hard to keep track of when you're driving around in a truck, and you write it down, and then the wind blows off, and then you feel bad you didn't call the people back.
And you got an office manager sitting there that would gladly take a message and write it in the perfect place where it's supposed to be, where I can't forget, But it doesn't.
I did get in a better habit over the last year, because I know we pretty much. I don't think there's been 3 weeks that have gone by that we haven't had something going on.
Surely not.
And I started emailing her. I'm like, I'm still going to text him, but I'm going to email.
She forwards them to me, and but I'd tell anybody, welcome to call me anytime, anywhere, whatever we can do to help.
How long have y'all been in the building there on Military?
That's a good question. I guess it's been close to 30 years. We started out originally we were where Brickerton is.
Okay.
There was our shop, and I mean it was all wide open space in there. And before any of that, that's way back when I was a kid. But we could even out there because it was nothing. They were trying to fill in the thing. They would actually let us dump our roofing shingles from the jobs on that property. So we went from just, let me jump the truck and dump it right quick, and then we can reload it, to got to drive all the way to the landfill, pay a bunch of money. Of course, that was free, and we were just, for several years.
You don't dump your stuff in Steens, Mississippi? Steens, Mississippi, I own property there. It's a literal dump. Like, I always ask people when they're like, I'm like, we can do it. Like, I've been taking and burning. I'm like, where in Steens? And I stare at them. They just look at me like, how'd you know? I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah. And that can be frowned upon unless people have the license to be dumping and stuff, the asphalt and the shingles and
I can't imagine. Yeah, I was wondering if there were
wood, trees, and different things is a different story, but you just can't go dump the shingles anywhere.
Yeah, I don't know if any roofers have done that. I'm just talking about like there's guys who like are working in my backyard and like there's some trash and they're like, I've been taking and burning. I'm like, where is this going? I was like, I don't want to get in trouble.
Well, we actually had it made for a couple of years. It was really nice. APAC, they were using the shingles to chop, grind it up and make asphalt. But they were actually paying us a small fee to bring it to them and dump it. So we were actually getting paid a little bit on every job we did. We was going to dumping it, and then they quit doing it. It wasn't feasible or something, and then we're back to the city landfill paying good money, but that's fine.
Man, you were almost in the Burns Dirt has a good scheme. It's not a scheme, Nick, but they have a good thing with like they're trying to coordinate jobs. Like, we need 2,000 yards of dirt here, and somebody else needs it taken off and moved. Like,
yeah, that's right.
Sometimes they're dealing with the same dirt 2 or 3 or 4 times. So.
There you go. Got to do what you can.
I get that. Well, I have people like when they call me and they're like, "Hey, I got to sell the house." I'm like, "What happened?" They're like, "Changing jobs," or "My wife left me," and I'm like, "Oh."
You're like,
yeah,
man, I hate to hear that.
Yeah.
Let's get that thing sold for you.
No, it's part of it. We have less people doing it now again because the interest rate, they're not moving quite as quick.
And it's amazing the different stories you hear and things. It just being out there in it every day, meeting different people, seeing different people, hearing different stories. I mean, it's just so many different dynamics people go through and deal with and deal things different. And interesting to see, but you hear a lot of strange things. Stories.
Yeah, the biggest thing is usually divorce is usually a big deal, but dealing with an estate property is probably the weirdest thing we deal with. Where like you never know. Mm-hmm. Everybody will be perfectly happy. We'll list the house. They'll get an offer. They'll take it. And then they start fighting about pennies in the money.
Especially depending on the number of siblings.
Yeah, the more there are, the more likely it is that they're going to fight about something.
It's not. Yeah, the more you get, somebody's not going to be happy. But
yeah,
and that's a shame. But it happens.
And I do tell people, everyone who gets a roof, I'm like, keep the copy of your receipt for especially now for these insurance companies, man. It's
right.
There's certain insurance companies that are like, won't do the policy without proof, and then they're making people cut down trees, and then they call that next agent down the road, and they're no problem. So.
Right. You just never know what you're gonna get these days.
Well, I think for years in insurance, the agents were supposed to be coming and inspecting houses. I mean. And I think more than half the time nobody was ever coming,
Right. I know back in the day with your agent would come out and do everything. Mine did anyway. Have a little problem or whatnot. He'd come himself. There wasn't an adjuster coming. It was the man himself would come out and look and do it.
Well, it goes back to being local. Like with you being local, that's what I like about like. Good example, Lauren Barker at Farm Bureau or Andy Hubbard at AHI. Like, if they give you trouble, you can call them and be,
Right.
I know that Lauren's going to be at Kroger at 5 o'clock today. I know Andy where his church is,
That's right.
Like, you can go yell at them. And I tell the same people for banks and for everything else, like, why are you calling this big, giant company,
You don't even know anybody, Yeah, no. And we do. We try to keep everything local as well. Use our local people for whatever we can. It just makes better sense.
Okay. Other than, if we want to help you out, other than driving around in the back of a pickup truck
awesome.
and launching cinder blocks onto the roof of our neighbors' houses with your number spray painted on them,
Right.
how can we help you and support you to get you some business?
Oh man, just word of mouth is always been our best thing. You know, somebody mentions a roof, just mention them and tell them we'd love to take care of them, and call the office there, and we'd take care of big or small. A lot of people don't care about a lot of repairs, and they might not want to go do this repair or that repair, but when that roof gets replaced, the one that went and did the repair and charged them fairly for it is going to do the roof much likely the next go around.
No, that's what I like it. And I tell people, you said, if you don't fix it, it's going to be in your living room at some point. Y'all are fairly affordable, for what, it's not like the scary call of calling the air conditioning guy out of the plumber,
Well, and that's one thing, that's the only way to, I've found over the years that it's not each job, it's how many, you got to do a lot of it. You can't make it all at one time. You make a little bit, be fair, give the best price, best job, and do more, just do a lot of it to make a living.
Good deal. Thanks for coming in today. It's Jason Wheeler from Wheeler Roofing.
Thank you for having me.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to the podcast. My name is Colin Krieger and my day job is real estate. If you're looking to buy or sell, I'd love to talk to you. Or if you just want to sit and talk real estate in a no pressure situation, I'd love to help you. I work with RE/MAX Partners in Starkville, Columbus, and West Point, Mississippi. I can help you find an agent anywhere in Mississippi or anywhere in the country. Just reach out to our office at 662-327-7705 or find me anywhere when you type in 662-329-SOLD.